Well, those were the headlines we're tracking for you today. Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Mugdha Warrior and joining me today is Arundhati Ramanan. First up on What's Brewing, we are tracking Apple. Now, during the company's earning call on Thursday, Apple CEO Tim Cook called out a record quarter in India and also, of course, the recent online store launch by Apple in the quarter in India. In fact, Tim Cook said, and I quote, "We set a September quarter record in India thanks in part to a very strong reception to the launch of the online store in the country." Remember, Apple had launched its online store in India on September 23rd, and the company for the first time now offers its full range of products and support directly to customers across the country. To talk about Apple's performance in India and of course the overall smartphone market performance, which according to Counterpoint Research, the sector saw the highest ever smartphone shipments in a quarter. We have with us Tarun Pathak of Counterpoint Research himself. Tarun, welcome on the show. We want to talk about the smartphone market, but first up, let's talk about Apple. Tim Cook calling out the India performance for the quarter is a big deal. And in fact, Counterpoint also has mentioned that Apple has now pipped OnePlus in the premium smartphone segment in the quarter. Tell us, what are the factors behind Apple's push? Tarun, if you can hear me? I think there could be a connection problem there.
Hello.
Tarun, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. No, I was asking you about what were the factors behind Apple's growth in the September quarter. In the Counterpoint Research report as well, you've said that it is now leading the premium segment and has surpassed OnePlus. And of course, Tim Cook also called out this record quarter in India. What are the factors behind that?
Yeah, cool. I think there are a couple of reasons. If you look at the main reason was performance of iPhone SE 2020. So since this is first of all, the very affordable offering from Apple and with the very latest chipset in it, I think that was one of the main reason. And other reason was the pricing of the iPhone 11. iPhone 11 continues to be a very strong product for Apple in India. And there was a lot of pent-up demand. We all were coming from like a very low Q2, and Q3 was the one when actually a lot of pent-up demand coming in favor of the premium segment. And these couple of factors actually helped Apple to grow in India. And of course, the late launch of online sales, the Apple's own online store in India, was also one of the reasons which actually helped Apple to reach a blockbuster quarter here in India in Q3 2020.
Okay, so the online store launch did help, like Tim Cook himself mentioned. Now, the iPhone 12 is, available for sale in India starting today. But there seems to be a lot of discrepancy when it comes to pricing in India versus other markets. What are the factors for this discrepancy in pricing?
Right. So there are a couple of reasons. If you look at the import duty here in India is still 20%, and then you add GST on top of it, because Apple is still not assembling the latest iPhones here in India, which means they have to import it from outside India. And these are the two factors apart from the Forex, the dollar India INR exchange rate, that all leads or adds up to the price of the device. So yeah, these three factors were the main which actually led to the increase in price.
But now Apple seems to be pushing local manufacturing and assembling in India. In fact, some of its contract manufacturing partners have been selected for the production-linked incentives. So will that really help Apple in keeping prices, on par with global prices?
I think it will. It will, and actually, it's a big step for Apple. If you look at the assembling in India, whatever is happening, it was quite low for Apple in the recent past. But recently, older generation iPhones has started assembly in India. And you look at the performance starting from iPhone XR to iPhone 11, it was partly due to this, the price cut which happened in the past one and a half year or so. And because for Apple in India, it's all about affordability. So if the iPhone is affordable, the sales are going to be super high. And yes, we are quite from future perspective, we are quite hopeful about the Apple sales in India.
Okay. In fact, yes, I was going to ask you also about projections, because while we have talked about a strong September quarter, the December quarter has gone off to a good start for Apple. In fact, from Forrester, we understand that 4 lakh iPhones were sold in the first week of the festive month this year on different platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and its own online store. What are your projections like for Apple in the December quarter?
So our projections are almost in the line. So what we are also projecting is we won't be surprised if Apple is going to post back-to-back record quarters in India, because the initial momentum for iPhone 12 has been super strong. We have been doing our retail checks, and the upgrade for iPhone 12 series it looks very, very positive. And another thing to note here is almost a year back, almost like 40% of the iPhone sales was coming from online, which might increase to like almost like 50 or 55%. Right. And that's a big deal coming from India. So yeah, I think I won't be surprised if Apple crosses 1 million sales for the first time ever in India.
Wow. So you're projecting that Apple will cross 1 million unit sales in India in a quarter for the first time. Let's wait and watch for that. But overall also, the smartphone market looking very good. Your report says that the smartphone shipments have been the highest ever in the quarter in India. What are the factors for this? Is it just the pent-up demand and the festive season? Do you see this sustaining even after December?
I think it's yes, pent-up demand, plus a lot of people are upgrading. So if you look at the installed base of India, is almost like 500 million smartphones, but 200 million out of them have actually purchased almost 3 years ago. So 200 million of people have smartphones which were purchased 3 years ago, which means they are due for replacement. In India, the average replacement rate is somewhere closer to like 24 months. So they are long due for replacement. So all these factors, the festive season, the aggressive offers, because the manufacturers do not want to miss out on this all important festive seasons. The festive offers have been very aggressive. So all these factors and the combination of the pent-up demand actually led to the highest ever quarter in India in terms of smartphone. And we believe that this is one segment which is very resilient. Smartphone market has always been resilient, as we have been always talking about it.
All right. All right, so strong quarter for the smartphone market. Tarun, thank you so much for joining us. With that, it's over to you, Arundhati.
All right, Mugdha, thank you so much for taking us through those details. Now, moving on, TechMint, an online teaching platform, has raised $3.5 million in a seed stage led by Lightspeed India. Existing investors, Better Capital and Titan Capital, also participated in this round. Now, this is the second round of funding for TechMint since raising its first round in August this year. And joining me right now is Mihir Gupta, the co-founder and CEO at TechMint, to discuss their plans going ahead. Hi, Mihir. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Now, first up, let me ask you my first question. You are in the business of enabling offline tutors to digitize their classrooms, and you set up your venture during the lockdown in May 2020. Now, just as this lockdown provided significant tailwinds for many homegrown edtech startups. Now, talk to us about the surge that you have witnessed since its inception.
Thanks a lot for having us on the show. I think it has been a great journey for us on the growth side. It started back in May this year when we launched our product, and it started with us circulating our Android app to a few teachers that we knew. And within a week, we were really surprised to see that the product was already circulating amongst teacher communities, and hundreds of teachers and students were using it in a matter of a week. And it has been just an amazing journey post that. Over the past 5 months, we have onboarded more than 120,000 teachers onto the platform. And this is spread across 1,000+ cities and towns in the country, right starting from Srinagar to Port Blair in Andaman. So that's the stage we are at.
Right, and this also happens to be your second fundraise in less than 2 months, and you're still at a fairly nascent stage. In fact, Lightspeed, that led this round, is also an investor, and Byju's. Has Lightspeed indicated any long-term plans, and what is the sort of dynamic that you share with them?
So for us, the only objective is to enable as many tutors as possible, and that is a mission that all our investors are aligned on and working towards jointly on that. The idea is that there are 2 to 3 million private tutors, coaching operators, and institutes in India, and we are all working towards enabling them digitally as much as possible.
Right. So then let me ask you, since EdTech is a highly competitive market, especially in these current times, how do you plan on fighting competition, and who do you actually count as your competitor at this point in time?
So we are fairly uniquely positioned in our space where we are right now. So if I compare to the conventional models in which EdTech has been happening in the country, it has been a very content-first model where there is a lot of recorded content, animations, video, etc., that are created and then consumed asynchronously by students across the country. While what we believe is fundamentally that when it comes to supplementary education, you cannot eliminate teacher from the center of the learning experience. And this is what we are working towards, that how do we enable these millions of teachers so that they are able to create their own localized brands of EdTech and cater to the large demand that is there from their regions, their areas, in the style of teaching that students relate to. So that is what we are working towards, and that is what differentiates us.
Right. Now let's go back to talk about that fundraise, and how do you plan on deploying the funds that you've received?
Yeah, so on the funding side, the funds that we have received, they will be going towards increasing our product offerings. We are adding more features. We are also working towards reaching out to as many tutors as possible in different geographies. And also, we are in the last 5 months, we have become a company employing 30 plus people. And with the new funding, we'll be expanding more aggressively. And this will just help us speed up our execution.
Right. And finally, what does the road ahead look like for you? And take us through some of the milestones you have set yourself for the next 1 year.
Yeah, so for us, the road ahead is to just keep on building the product that the teachers are loving, just continuing hearing the feedback that we are getting and iterating on our offering. In terms of milestone, what we are looking towards is in the next few quarters, at least enabling 1 million plus tutors so that they're able to digitize their businesses and start teaching online through the solution that we are providing.
Right, Mihir, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and we wish you all the best for your venture going forward. On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break, but don't go anywhere. Up next, we talk to Sunil Vedula, the founder and CEO of NanoPrecise SciCorp, a startup which helps NASA in diagnosing issues with its machinery. Wait for that on the other side.